Hello, and welcome to the Humor and Chaos podcast. I'm Sarah Howard Nelson. I am a certified life coach and a certified art therapy practitioner. I am not a licensed therapist. I am not a licensed counselor, and I am not a licensed psychologist. I am here to share my experiences with others to help them deal with their own experiences. So today I want to talk about blog post number 3. We're not to 4 yet. Blog post number 3, which is entitled In Sickness and in Health. There it is. And the reason I had my daughter take pictures of blood, which I actually don't think was real blood. I think she created fake blood that she looked up the ingredients for online. She's very smart and she takes very good pictures. And I thank her for all the pictures that she took for all of my posts and many of my publications. She even took this one. She takes everything. She takes all the pictures for me. She's excellent. As you can tell, I'm very proud of her. Anyway, back on track. In sickness and in health. When we say these words, when we get married, we take these vows and we make these promises and we mean them at the time, or at least we should, at minimum. But sometimes things happen and people can't keep them. And that's unfortunate, but that's also part of life. And in this blog post, I basically list off. I love when my tongue doesn't want to work. As you can tell, I'm recording the same day as I did the previous podcast of just myself, and yeah, tongue doesn't always work. Also, fact of life. As I list off all of the things I have been through, they were overwhelming. They were rough, from other betrayals that happened before the marital betrayal were already bad enough. And years of lupus symptoms that went unappreciated. Is that the word I want to say? Uninvestigated. They really were not investigated. As many chronic illness patients will tell you, I was gaslit too. And even now, being sick again, although good news, I'm showing signs of improvement as of, the time that I'm recording this. I seem to be getting better again, and hopefully we'll reach remission again, because remission is great. Going through all of this and being back here again in a lot of ways. These things weigh you down. And as I said, I list them out in that blog post. So I list out, years of lupus symptoms, undiagnosed, nagging, dragging me down, sometimes nearly taking my life. I list a little bit about the betrayal from other friends that are no longer friends and no longer in my life, and the crime. And although I don't talk about that in detail, and then talking about the betrayal and then the divorce, and within all of that, the illness, and then my back going out and the back surgery. I mean, and now again, sick again. And how was it for me to continue to go on? Fortitude, right? Continuing to get back up and try again. What drove me? And that's an excellent question. And what people who have chronic illness often say, because, people come up and go, oh, you're so strong. I couldn't deal with this. And those of us who are in the community will say, yeah, you probably would, because what other choice do you have? I mean, really, what other choice have you got? If you don't have the fortitude to go through, what's the other option? And the other option is to give up. And if you're talking about a life-altering disease? What does it mean to give up? And I don't want to say the word, but I will. It's death. You're either going to survive it or you're not. And so giving up is dying. So it's not that we have extra strength, although we become stronger as we go through it. It's not that we have some supernatural strength that other people who don't have chronic illnesses don't have. It's just we don't have a choice. And that is true. That's completely true. But not everything I went through was chronic illness, you know? Was there ever a point that I wanted to die? Yeah. There were points that I wanted to die. And I'm sad to say that, but it's the truth. And again, was I stronger than other people because I didn't? No. No. I do have fortitude. I do have a lot of resilience. That's true, but I didn't just happen to have that. There's a couple things that kept me alive. The first one being my ex-husband, when I was married to him and when he was taking very good care of me. Every time I felt like giving up, he wouldn't let me. He would not allow me to let go. And that was a couple times, and both times it was because of immense pain. The pain was just so unbearable. It can be that bad. And when patients don't get properly treated for pain, which is a huge problem in our country. I'm dealing with this too. I, move here to Idaho. I have to start over with a whole new care team. And I've got my pain management physician who, treated me for years successfully. I need to have a pain management physician up here, and I can't find one. And that's not ethical. And I am calling out pain management physicians in Idaho. That's not ethical to refuse to see a pain patient. That I haven't even met one. I can't even get an appointment. Okay, that's unethical. I might have to move back to California or someplace else so I can be seen. Right now, though, I'm not in pain. I just want to establish a relationship should it come back. I don't want to be fighting to get in with a pain management physician at that time. I want to do it now while I'm okay. That's being prudent, but they won't even allow me to do that. And my regular general practitioner here has been trying to help, and I'm sorry, but you guys are a little behind on this, where other states are treating pain patients again, and as they should be. That's just being human. But I'm using this as a further opportunity for personal growth. And that was the next thing that I wanted to say, is that for everything that I went through, each thing, so long as I worked on myself mentally and intentionally, and even when I didn't know what I was doing, but as I learned more and more of how to do that, each thing I went through did strengthen me for the next thing. And it did provide me with the tools and the reasoning for how I would deal with the next thing, which that I didn't know was coming. I mean, you can't predict the future. I didn't know what was going to be next. I did not know that my husband was going to leave me. I had no clue whatsoever that was going to happen. None. I mean, that was the biggest shock of all of everything that happened. But all those years of illness and all the years of dealing with the crime and the period of time of dealing with the betrayal from the friends that weren't friends, they each strengthened me. They grew me in resilience, and I learned perseverance, and all these things happened. And I also, as previously stated, figure out how to hold on to joy in my life through those things. I had to learn that as a skill. that also helped to increase my fortitude. And so now this time when I got, informed that the lupus was back, which I knew was coming, I could feel it. I actually felt it a couple of years ago when I started making plans to move from California because I was not able to get the help that I knew I needed. Long reasoning why I don't want to get into. But having, what was I saying? Having joy in my life, which gave me a sense of gratitude for what I had, not only for what I have today, but also for what I had that was good in the past, helped me to keep going. And I have a brand new analogy that I think is much better. And this analogy came from a very close friend of mine. And he is, it's kind of funny. He's a surfer dude from Southern California. And he was talking to me about this. He was saying that in surfing terms, what I'm trying to talk about, what I'm trying to explain is, and I actually took notes of what he told me, and I have him here on my phone, this phone holder I have here. And he says it's like the term in surfing, sucking over the falls. Now, I've never surfed in my life. I love the ocean. I love being near the ocean. I love hearing the waves. I have watched surfers surf quite a bit. I have yet to see him surf. But he's a lifelong surfer, doing it for decades. Sucking over the falls. I had never heard that term before. Now he's dealt with, because I asked him, I said, have you dealt with sharks? He's like, oh yeah, taking bites out of boards. He's broken boards. He's been injured. I think he broke his ankle once or something. He's got scars from surfing, but he always kept going back for more. Loves surfing. He loves it. Always goes back. But sucking over the falls is particularly dangerous. This is one of the scariest things you can ever go through. You can drown. Your body can be broken. So what it is as you're going out to surf, when a wave is coming, you're not in a position to ride that wave. You have to do, as he called, you have to duck dive. So you have to duck dive head first with your board under the wave to get onto the other side and keep going out. And then so you can choose the wave that you're going to ride. But sometimes when you duck dive, you can get pulled over by the wave. So he calls it sucking over the falls. When the wave comes up and it falls over. So as you try to duck dive, you can get pulled underneath the wave coming down on you. And it can pull you down and turn you all over, and you can land on stuff, and your board can get broken, and you can get injured, you can drown. It's very bad. Other people call it rolling over the falls. I like his term better, sucking over the falls, because said if you get caught in it, you're caught in it. You're caught. And what else did he say out of it? He equates it, and this is what I liked about it. He equates it for just like life can take you backwards. Yeah, that was one thing I really liked about his analogy. It's like when life takes you backwards. That's what happens when things go wrong. That's what happens when you get a chronic illness diagnosis that's severe. That's what happens when your marriage suddenly falls apart, and it's like life takes you backwards. Loss is like that. And he says, what do you do? Well, you're desperate to get up for air, but you can't get up for air because you don't know where up is. While you're still falling over the falls and being dragged down to the bottom and beaten up, you don't know where up is. So you have to wait and just do your best to get through it until you can find up. and you can get your first breath of air. And I remember this with my diagnosis. I remember this when my rheumatologist sat me down and went through the checklist of why he and how he was diagnosing me with lupus. And I don't know what the diagnostic criteria is now because it changes periodically, but at that time it was a list of 11 or 13 criteria or something like that. And if you had 8 of them, both blood tests and physical symptoms that they examine, and if you had at least 8, it was a positive diagnosis. And I had almost all of them. And I don't even think he was up to 8 yet. Actually, no, I think it's at least you've had 4, but I think I had, yeah, it was at least 4, and I had 8 at least. I stopped listening at 8. And interesting, because I hadn't met this guy yet, who's the surfer dude. I didn't know who he was yet. But as he was getting further and further down the list and saying this is why, this is why, this is why, I had a roaring of the ocean in my ears. And I lost the ability to hear what he was saying. I was being sucked over the falls. I couldn't breathe. I was in an absolute internal panic. It wasn't showing on the outside, but inside, I, I, I don't think I took a full breath for years, for at least a few years after that. Not a full breath. I couldn't expand my lungs out. I was in shock. I was in pain. I was a mess. And then, I like what he said here. He says, how do you get out of it? And he said, you get out of it by being strong. He says, it's not safe to only surf. He says, you have to work out. He had a workout routine that he did. And he's a very strong man. And I thought, I wasn't doing that. I was just getting by in life. I was focused on my kids. I was focused on my then husband. I was focused on serving other people, and I was not focused on growing myself. And this is why people need to work on themselves before anything even happens. The best outcome you can have is when you're strong enough to handle it. I wish I had known this. I mean, there was a period of time for a few years where I was reading books, and that actually did help. When things were at their worst, I mentally went back to that place and even reached out to some friends from that time of my life who did help me. Thankfully, I needed them. But I wish I had known. I wish I had known to grow myself continuously, spiritually and emotionally and physically. Because I know that if I had done that from the very beginning, I could have done a better job of taking care of myself and handling these things. So how do you do that? Really, just by a lot of it is reading, journaling, being grateful for what you have every day, growing spiritually. And these things should not be chores. They should be enjoyable. If they're not enjoyable, then analyze and do something different. And you should make changes periodically, not necessarily whole changes, but you can make, small adjustments can make a big difference, because growing yourself should feel good. It should be like nourishment to the body, nourishment to the soul, nourishment to the spirit, nourishment to the mind. That's how it should be. And the more you do that, I mean, you're not going to know how much worse it would have been if you hadn't done that. But I know without a doubt that if you're working on yourself before anything happens, when something does happen, you're definitely going to be better off. And once I did learn that, and I did start working on myself, which, better late than never, I kept doing what I could to put myself out there and get back into life as fast as I could. Why? Because life is great. It's why even when I was still lying in bed and I was starting to work on myself and do things, I wanted my window open to hear the kids playing outside. Because life is amazing. And he says that too in his analogy about sucking over the falls. It's happened to him a few times and badly. So why does he keep going back out there to surf? And he said so. He said, because there's nothing like it in the world. He said, when you're out there riding a wave and you can see the floor of the ocean beneath you and you can see all this fish, the wildlife. He says, there's nothing like it on dry land. It's what keeps him going. And I was like, wow, that's life. I see now why he keeps going out there. Dang, that's amazing. Yeah. I hope you got something out of this. Stay tuned. Come back and visit. This is Sarah. I'm Sarah. Humor in Chaos. There goes my tongue again. Humor in Chaos podcast. If you want to shoot me an email, or if you'd like me to have you on so you can share your story of overcoming, you can email me at humorinchaos@gmail.com, or you can find me on my website at www.humorinchaos.com. So you all have a great day. Don't get sucked over the falls. Thank you.